Season 3 of the Missing Witches podcast is sponsored by Foxglove Farm. Go to foxglovefarm.com and use offer code MISSINGWITCHES.
Looking menacing while I'm harnessing medicine. The hardest of evergreen peppermint and excrement. Banshee damping in granny panties and leopard print. I'm telling them to hand me the hanky that he has bled on with. If you should know, I use voodoo dolls as Yu-Gi-Ohs. I push and fucking cooking and stews to balls. Cooking oil. This concoction I'm brewing sure is useful long as I refrain from staining it up with beauty products. No, all my sisters come in. All my witches jump in. No need to think about men. Only demons and friends. Dance the spirits and then check the lyrics of sin. Grab a stick then ascend. Catch a glimpse of the wind. Join the circle with me. Join the circle with me. Spoil yourselves and you're free.
Come join the circle with us. I'm so excited to be chatting with Ashanti, better known as hip-hop witch extraordinaire, Backxwash. I'm so excited to be joining this circle with you. How are you, Ashanti?
I'm okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for making the time. I know you are crazy busy gigging like the next great superstar of the hip-hop universe.
Try my best.
Yeah. I mean, this will air on October 30th, but you just finished Pop Montreal and you've got like Halifax coming up.
Yes, got the Halifax Pop Explosion on the 24th.
And then what's happening after that for people who are just listening to this on the 30th?
After that, on the 8th, I'll be opening for Pelada at the album launch with Drag Queen, which I'm really excited for.
And that's in Montreal?
Yeah, that's in Montreal. Then I think the same month, I'll be also opening for Doom Squad in Ottawa. So that'll be cool.
Nice. Very cool. Lots of exciting stuff coming up. So, most of what I know about you is through your lyrics. So, my first question is, like, how much separation is there between Ashanti and Backxwash?
I would say it's funny because it feels as if Backxwash is like a medium for me to be able to express myself and kind of like say things which are in my mind. And I think, I guess Backxwash, the character, gives me confidence in order to say this. I think politically, pretty much the same. What we believe in is pretty much the same, but I guess it's just in the way that we do it. Because in real life, I guess I'm more soft-spoken, but the moment that I start writing raps, I get more aggressive and intense. So
yeah, I've seen this in your live show where during the songs it's Backxwash, and then between the songs this like humble kind of blown away Ashanti comes through. So we see that a lot in your performance. Even when you're on stage, I think Ashanti and Backxwash were both there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. I don't know, it just feels as if, when I'm able to get into character, I'm just able to have a different way of saying things.
And I think that's probably something that would be useful for people who even aren't performers. Like you, I don't know if you wrote this, but Black Sailor Moon is labeled as a quote, a rage-filled approach to religion, gender, sexuality, and witchcraft. And the word that comes up for me when I'm listening to your music, it's like the first time I heard like Chuck D or Bikini Kill, where it's just this like, you want to take a baseball bat and smash injustice. You don't want to be like destructive and smash everything, but it's kind of that feeling of just like, and the word that keeps coming back for me is unapologetic.
Yeah.
How do you access that for our listeners who want to access that unapologetic part of themselves? How do you do that?
I just channel. I just channel everything that I kind of like, don't like, that is bothering me, and just say it as honest as you can, essentially. So I guess honesty is a big thing because I remember watching random, but I remember watching a Stone Cold Steve Austin interview. Yeah,
The wrestler?
yeah. Yeah, and they'll asking Stone Cold, what when you like have somebody on the ground and you're like kind of like saying something like insulting them in their face, like what do you say? And he says, well, anything that I say there would be something that I would say when I'm not wrestling you. Like I am really honest in what I say, and I kind of like pick that mantra up of saying, whatever, even though the delivery is different, whatever I want to say when I'm rapping versus out would probably be the same. So it's like being in the Backxwash character just gives like a good medium, like a harder medium and delivery of what I'm honestly thinking, essentially. So I guess honesty is a big one. Honesty is a big one.
Honesty is a huge one, and not just being honest with your message, but being honest with yourself about how you're feeling in that moment and how you're reacting to things, right?
Yes.
So do you think that requires bravery?
I think so. I don't know if I'll call it, I don't know if I'll call it bravery for myself or anything. I think maybe the word belief, I think it requires belief in oneself.
And how do you conjure that belief in yourself?
For me, I just keep on doing it.
I love that. Just doing it, and the belief will come.
Yeah, because it's like I see an improvement from when I started to now. And I think the more that I'm believing in myself, the more that I can kind of like feel myself improving.
So normally I ask our witches how they became witches, but I want to ask you how you became an MC. Because that is largely your witchcraft, is being an MC, this poetry.
Yeah, I started rapping. The first time I came towards rapping, my sister showed me More Money, More Problems with P. Diddy, Mace, and B.I.G.
Of course.
And I used to listen to music back then, and I was into like, singing songs and like R&B and like pop. Then I saw this happen and I thought that was so cool. And I was asking like my sister, like, what are they doing? Are they just like talking? Like, is this singing? And she was like, no, it's like rapping, and kind of gave me the basics that you gotta rhyme, you gotta say stuff cool. So I was like, all right. So I became like a fan of it. I used to like freestyling a lot. That was kind of like my thing when I was growing up. And when I was like 12 or 13 years old, I got my first copy of like a pirated copy of like FL Studio, I think it was 3, FL Studio 3, and began like making beats and making songs, and that just like continued. And until I moved here, then I stopped for a bit, then moved to Montreal. When I moved to Montreal, that's when I started getting back into it. And the idea was, if I can feel as confident as I would feel when I was 17 years old, then I think, because when you stop for a while, you have to get back to the point that you were at before you stop. It's like riding a bike, I guess. Everybody says, oh yeah, you never forget how to ride a bike, but you have to remember how to be as good as you were when you started.
Right.
Yeah. So I think during like Black Sailor Moon, that's when I like kind of like reached that point of thinking like, oh, I feel as if like, I'm back to where I was at my 17-year-old when I initially stopped this. Now I gotta like ascend that. So one of the things that were very important was finding a studio that you actually feel comfortable in, and I guess that was the one missing thing, because when I started recording Deviancy, I was like, I gotta make sure I got the sound that I desire, and I'm gonna make sure I have the lyrics that I desire. And I was like, well, I think I've kind of got the sound, I kind of got the lyrics, and I think what's next now was just recording them the way and executing the way that I want to. And I think the studio played like a big part in that.
Do you want to shout out that studio that you recorded
Absolutely.
Deviancy in?
Absolutely. Shout out to Will Owen Bennett, like incredible engineer, and that studio is incredible and makes everybody feel safe and comfortable.
So you mentioned Black Sailor Moon and Deviancy, and just for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, Black Sailor Moon was your second EP?
Yes.
And Deviancy is your record that just came out this spring?
Yes.
And they're both fantastic. I mean, you know, I'm a fan first and a friend second. But again, I am, and so I wanted to ask, like, this titling your second EP, Black Sailor Moon, is that part of this 17-year-old self, this conjuring this super teen in a way?
No. Maybe like. No, I don't think so. I think the name just came to me because I just really like Sailor Moon in terms of from just like a whole ideological and aesthetic perspective, and I was like, well, they never had like you don't really see like a lot of like black girls in Sailor Moon, so I thought maybe I'd be like, you know, Black Sailor Moon, and you know, that would kind of like convey parts of like my personality, and so that's how I went about like picking that name.
So this is the Missing Witches podcast, of course. So let's get into it, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Let's talk about voodoo. You have a song even called Voodoo, so I'm not reaching here. What's your personal relationship like with what is? Can you describe any part of your practice or your philosophy?
Yeah. So my I guess I kind of look back and I was like, you know, I was thinking to myself, and I think with naming the song Voodoo, I just kind of generalized it because voodoo is something that is kind of specific to like a certain region and area of like Black women practicing magic, essentially. Mm-hmm. I kind of look at that with like regret sometimes. So I think I should pick like another name because I wouldn't call myself a practitioner of voodoo. I think calling like every like Black women's magic voodoo is just like some worse than like white shit.
Right. It can be very reductive for sure, but I don't think that's what you're doing. I think it's empowering.
And for my practice, my practice comes with connecting back to. First of all, I'm a citizen. Well, I come from Zambia, and I'm from a half Chewa, half Tumbuka tribe. My mom is Chewa, my dad is Tumbuka. And the relation that I have with the term witchcraft was when the missionaries first came in, so, you know, Zambians and Africans practicing their own spirituality, and they were like, they kind of like put a negative connotation on the word, and they were like, oh, you know, you should, you know, choose the Bible instead of, you know, practicing all the spirituality that you're doing. And the term that they used, I guess, was witchcraft and, you know, magic. And when they saw us kind of like give respect to the spiritual ancestors, you know, they would call that, oh, no, this is witchcraft, this is magic. You have to like, you know, learn the Bible instead. And my practice kind of stems from African spirituality in the sense. A good thing that I like to do is dance as well sometimes, because for my tribe, in the Tumbuka tribe, we have this traditional ceremony called Vimbuza, and in Vimbuza is supposed to be this healing dance. You know, you dance to heal yourself, and I guess my practice is a mixture of all of these like indigenous Zambian practices that kind of looked down upon when the missionaries came.
Did you spend a lot of your life in Zambia, or was it like an early childhood?
Oh yeah, I came here when I was 17, 18.
Ah, that's confident 17-year-old.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I've had exposure to like, the practices and, being around the environment where, you have this kind of like clashing sides of, oh, this is what we used to do like before colonialism came through, and it's like, well, but you also have these colonial structures that are like clashing together in one place. So it's I try to reject post-colonial practices and only look at pre-colonial practices, so the spirituality and giving up to our ancestors and rituals that we used to have to, as a way of spirituality.
And this comes up in your lyrics a lot too, this sort of negotiation of Christianity, like not Christian lyrics, obviously, but you talk about the Bible, you talk about your pastor.
Yeah.
And for example, maybe I'll put in a clip right now of heteronomy, which is a play on Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
So let's hear that.
Deuteronomy 22, chapter 5 says, "A man shall not wear woman's clothes." I'm reading this with a dress on. I'm kind of like Jesus, I'm Teflon. I'm a blonde and a major, the God transgender. And if any man of the Lord tries to use violence to challenge me, I swear to the gay gods that watch over me that I will eat your face. I am not terrified by your diatribes and exorcisms, because any attempts will allow me to stare at your God in his face and tell him that he's not welcome here.
So can you talk about writing that passage?
Oh yeah. Well, coming up, you would hear, you would hear people justify all of this, hate towards, witchcraft, religion, sexuality, gender identity, based on an interpretation of the Bible. And I kind of saw that as a protest, getting that, Bible verse, which people used to justify all this hatred, and kind of like flipping it on its like head to kind of like reject all that energy that is coming from people that do that. So I wrote that. I actually wrote that when I was writing the last track of Black Sailor Moon, and I couldn't come up with the chorus. Then I just decided to write that. And when it was about to be done, we cut that out and said, hey, maybe this should just be the intro. And that became like the intro. But it was essentially just like, using that verse as, kind of like blowing back at people that use that verse to justify hatred of people that share our groups.
Yeah, and the song that clip comes from, you also use a Patti Smith sample, "Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine."
Yeah,
which is a good underscore of what you're talking about there.
Yeah. I think most of my experience is just a rejection of colonialism. I think that's from Black Sailor Moon going forward. I think that's just like my whole discography, because it ties into so many things. The rejection before the colonialists came through, we had tribes that would recognize non-binary gender identities, as well as different sexualities. And you had the queer people in the tribes. All this happened all before colonialism, and some of these concepts that came are just me using those concepts and turning them on their head and rejecting all of that negative energy that is coming from what the missionaries came with, essentially. So it's like on Deviancy, I've got a song called "Bury Me at the Stake," and the reason why I wrote that was what they would do to witches now in terms of punishment is the same thing they would do to queer people in terms of punishment, which is, put a tie around your neck and, try and burn you alive. And that's essentially a result of all the colonialism that came through, because it goes back to the point of anybody who practices traditional forms of spirituality is, met with aggression.
Yes. And I think there's definitely like a long, probably eternal relationship between witchness and queerness. And I think it comes down to the title of your album, which is Deviancy.
Yeah.
We are sort of by necessity rule breakers, or going against the status quo, or more importantly, questioning the status quo, questioning these rules, these Bibles that are put in front of us. Right?
Yeah, because deviant would be something that they would call me, essentially. And it's just embracing that word, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you do a lot of embracing that I'm very excited about. What happens a lot on this podcast is sort of trying to present the kinder and gentler face of witchcraft. But you come in like, don't come to the woods. I love that. You and I spoke a little bit before, and I was like, I'm more like, please come to the woods. And you come in or like, I met the devil in a mosh pit. It's aggressive, but in this like beautiful, I don't know how else. Can you talk about this like reclamation of aggression? Yeah, can you talk about that? Reclamation of everything that you're reclaiming in this amazing, beautifully aggressive, confrontational. You go.
It was just like growing up and being told to reject all of these things, and then having it change as soon as you like get a better understanding of it, and saying, oh, all this stuff that people thought was bad and people thought that I shouldn't do, I'm embracing that, because that actually makes me my purest self. So it's kind of played into that scary bit as well, and that aggressive bit of it. I'll say, you could either tell your oppressors when your oppressor slaps you on your left cheek, you can actually maybe give them the right cheek and say, hey, slap that one too, or you can punch them in the face and tell them to never come back.
Right. And I mean, this sort of submissive Christianity line that we've been fed, right? This turning the cheek thing, but
and it's like it's also like a survival thing, essentially, because it's me saying, oh, please don't come near me, because I want to survive. I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you're capable of, essentially.
Like, so, don't come to the woods because these are my woods.
Yeah. And don't come to the woods was kind of supposed to be satirical. Yeah, because it's like, oh, here I am growing up around like, African spirituality, and I just write a song based on like, Western tropes of like witchcraft and try to make it like as extreme as possible,
But you're unpacking it for us, right? You're doing the labor of unpacking these tropes for us, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Are you comfortable getting into your African spirituality, like any of your praxis or practice that comes along with that? You mentioned dance. What else is involved?
Mostly just dancing. It's mostly just a combination of dancing, singing songs, and there's some things that I can't do. Like you used to be able to go to the fields and get some food and leave it out by the river for like
ashes or for the ancestors. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's a certain things that I can't do. But you still like there's still certain things that you can still do in your place, like talk to them. It's as simple as talking to them once in a while, and trying to interpret dreams. I remember this one time where I just got word from my cousin that if you eat in your dream, then it's a sign of a bad omen.
Mm.
Yeah, and that bothered me for like a week. Because I ate in my dream, and that kind of bothered me for a week. And I went to talk to elders, and they can be like, oh, it can be like a huge inconvenience, or it could be like a terrible, terrible inconvenience. I never found out what the inconvenience is, but it's just to give an example of what goes around that practice, just like interpreting all these messages, talking to all the ancestors, giving tribute when you can, dancing, singing. Singing can also be a form of tribute as well.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorites.
Yeah,
one of my favorites for sure.
I actually think even performing, and me performing as well is also like a form of tribute as well, because I'm kind of immortalizing them and making sure that their stories don't.
Yeah, and again, especially because you're doing it in this reverent manner, the content of your lyrics and the way you perform them and the humility, the balance of this amazing aggressive pride and your beautiful, beautiful vulnerability that comes through.
There was this one girl who I knew at university, not university, in high school, and the rumor around her was that each time she would sing so well. It's almost like she would go into a trance, and it's almost like a spirit would take over. And sometimes I hope I do get to that point of where when I'm performing as Backxwash, it just feels like something just takes over and goes.
Let's talk about the alchemy of hip hop.
Yeah.
How do you choose your samples? I know you have other producers, but you also produce some of your own tracks. So how do you choose your samples? How do they call to you? Do your ancestors guide you to old record crates in the back of flea markets? How do you choose your samples?
Okay, so a lot of my sampling comes from there are two parts to it. I usually like to sample. Three parts to it. The first thing that I like to sample is old. Not really. They don't even have to be old, but like spiritual chants. I sample a lot of spiritual chants in the music. The Don't Come to the Woods. The choir that is in that instrumental came from a Sangoma chant. Actually, there's a song that was idolizing Sangomas, and that's where it came from.
So, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you really quickly. For our listeners who don't know, a Sangoma is sort of like a healer. Sangoma?
Yeah. But I guess the Sangoma that I sampled from was Southern African, South African. So it's from Sangoma in South Africa, and that's where I like to pick the sounds from, because it's what I'm immortalizing, and it's what I want to keep the story going with them. And if it's not only limited to that in terms of what else I sample, I also sample. Will just made it clear to me that I sample a lot of old rock songs as well. Mm-hmm. It turns out that I sample a lot of Patti Smith as well. I'm trying to make sense of it, but yeah, it turns out I do sample a lot of old rock songs, and I'm getting into sampling horror movies as well. But horror movies are a bit much more difficult, because with horror movies, you can tell from hearing the song that it's going to be a creepy song, and I don't really like that. I like it when you can't really tell that something is creepy, then it turns out to be creepy. But with like horror movies, it's like, oh yeah, this is the score to The Ring, so I know it's going to be unsettling. But you do find some good stuff in there. So I guess, yeah, those are my three main sources. Just a lot of old, African, well, not old, a little African chants, rock, a lot of old rock songs, and horror movie scores as well.
And so when you hear a snippet, do you already hear what it's going to be, or do you sort of sit and play and move things around until it becomes something?
Well, the complicated part comes with producing and writing a song after you produce it. Because sometimes I'll like a beat.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was like, oh, I like this beat. Then it's like, oh, I've got a process in which if I can't come up with a hook, in like the next 5 minutes, then I'm not gonna use it, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, so I think I learned that from like 50 Cent, in which 50 Cent talked about the hook of being the most important part of the song, and I really like to make my songs very, chorus centric.
Well, certainly you see that. I mean, your live audience is always, everyone knows your choruses and everyone is always singing along with your choruses. It's quite, come join the circle with me. It's very that.
and it goes back to, I look at it like it goes back to two places. It goes back to Vogue. And, when you're watching Vogue, it's very repetitious in terms of what the performer is going to say on the microphone. There are a lot of chants, they would call them. And if you go back to African culture and traditional culture, the chants that usually hear have got a very repetitious thing to them. And I try to make my hooks and choruses the same way, essentially. And so I guess the two parts I hear is, all right, I like the sample, and you can usually hear what you're gonna make after like the sample comes in. So it's like, all right, I like the sample, and you plot a few drums, and it's like, all right, I'm feeling the groove, and let me see if I can come up with a hook, and that's usually like how the song usually comes. But Deviancy was different because I don't know where the choruses dropped from, because I had the choruses right before I even did the songs.
Yeah, you wrote your choruses first and then built the rest of the song around them.
Yeah. Like, Don't Come to the Woods, the only thing that I had in my mind was Don't Come to the Woods.
Which sounds simple, but really it's genius.
Yeah. And the thing that I had, then I found this Sangoma sample, and I was like, oh, this is good. And the drums came in, and I was like, oh, let me try. Then Don't Come to the Woods fit in. Same thing as Burn Me at the Stake. The chorus was already there, and You Like My Body the Way It Is, the chorus was already there. So for a few of the songs, I already had the chorus in there, but I think what made it easier was trying to convey the repetitious nature with the chants, and just trying to fit those in, and I like the way it came out.
Oh, it's a fantastic record. Everyone go buy Deviancy immediately. So another song from Deviancy with some of my favorite lyrics of all time, and I'm going to do a dramatic reading right now. These are lyrics from Bad Juju. Fuck everybody. Excuse me. Fuck everybody. Fuck patriarchy. Fuck evil standards of beauty we're supposed to live in. Fuck society. Now, that's the most relatable lyric probably that I ever heard in my life. Can you please unpack every single word of it for me?
Well, it's okay. So with Bad Juju, okay, because Bad Juju is more akin to my relationship with witchcraft. Don't Come to the Woods was a bit satirical. Bad Juju is more akin to, it's because it's very African in the lyrics as well. So the second verse is, kind of like feeling like you go into a place and you go into a place and you're actually like, oh, you actually let us in here, and we're gonna fuck shit up now.
Would you be willing to honor us by reciting that second verse for our listeners right now?
Yeah. Okay. Then should I explain it by 4 bars? 4 bars as well?
Babe, it's your show.
Okay. So it's like, boy, I will put the shit right on you. They make me want to flick it on you. I'm saying I'm the most vicious in speech. I talk different. I caught wind of the beats that knock different. So with the beginning of that verse, I'm just like, I'm really that witch bitch. I'm really that, and like don't tempt me because I know what I'm capable of, and also kind of like talking about my prowess as like an MC, just like how to add the 2 bars there. Then this is like the next part is, yo, done let the trans in this bitch with the fags and the hags and demand in the shit with the drags with the panic attacks and the zip, and we randy as fuck, understand it's the click. So that part is kind of like, as a performer, you go to places, then it's like, oh, like you already let the trans in here, like you've been so trans exclusionary and so queer exclusionary, but you've actually let me in now, and now I have no choice, but I gotta fuck shit up. Like I'm not gonna be like one of those people who like you just let in. I'm just gonna be like, all right, I'm just gonna conform to everything that you say because I'm happy that I'm finally in. It's like, no, I'm in, and now you've given me an opportunity to like fuck shit up. Like, thank you so much. So those like, kind of like me bringing all the like, all of my friends in. So it's like fags and the hags and the man and the drags, just like all coming in, and we're just like gonna like fuck shit up. We're just gonna like tear shit off the walls. We're just gonna like twerk on like your cushions, just like gonna do everything. And that's what I wanted to convey with those 4 bars. Then it's like, in the wake of the spirit witches and liches, homophobes keep on wishing it couldn't be any different. Sentences to the seminar pushing me for religion, middle finger hospitable, feeling for other bitches. So it's just me like rejecting all of these like, these values that they try to push on me after I've come in and fuck shit up. And it's, it's just kind of like talking at them and saying like, this was like, this should have been obvious. Like, this is what I think. Like in the wake of the spirit witches and liches, like this is me. Homophobes keep on wishing it couldn't be it couldn't be any different. And it's just like, sentences to the seminar pushing me for religion, which is like not gonna happen. And it's just like, me kind of like staring them in the face and just being like, oh, I'm sorry I fucked shit up, but now I gotta like stare at you in the face and say all of these words. so after that, the hook comes in, then it's just me saying fuck everybody, and just like after you've come in and you fuck shit up, you gotta like, they gotta like give a speech on why you're doing it. You gotta like give a speech on why you're doing it. So if you're given like that few minutes on the microphone to say something to like people around the world, and those are just like lines I came up with, just like fuck everybody, just fuck racism, fuck those like, evil standards of beauty that we're forced to live in, because I think like, that's like direct and to the point, and that's essentially it. Yeah.
I was like shaking because I wanted to clap, and I was like, don't interrupt. So my whole body was shaking the whole time. It's just so perfect. Witches, I mean, if you're looking for an anthem to our listeners out there, I'm going to play some more of Backxwash's music, but really just go out and get Black Sailor Moon and get Deviancy and listen to them on repeat like I do. But before we leave Deviancy behind, all this aggressive and, hot and but then you also have a song like You Like My Body the Way It Is.
You're so true to my soul, have no use for my flaws. I'm so truly a calm. I wake up and every day I feel like bliss. And I try to pin my feelings, there's a message in my kiss. Cause you like my body the way it is. 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 You like my body.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that song for a minute? It's so tender and it's like the antithesis, but it's also, it's the same because it's about knowing your power, knowing what you're capable of, knowing your beauty, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
tell me about You Like My Body the Way It Is.
So when I was coming up with You Like My Body the Way It Is, I already had the idea for the hook in my mind, and I was like, all right, who am I gonna sample for this one? Like, where am I gonna get the sample for that? Should I just play the piano by myself, or should I just sample it? Then Patti Smith again, and I was like, oh god, just like again. Like, all right, so I found this like nice piano line from Birdland, and chopped that up and put some drums and some chords all over it. And all I had to do was just write the words, and the words didn't take long to come out because it's like, when you get into a moment where you have all the right things to say and the words are dropping one by one, and I was just like, after all this anger, what's more deviant to like these people than somebody who is just in a position where they're able to feel a certain way as a trans person? Because that's like terrifying to these people. That they don't like it when trans people feel like this. So like that's probably like the most deviant thing to these people, just a trans person being comfortable and having support from somebody who they love. So the words just came out, and I had it written, and I was thinking like, should I put it like on the project, because the project has been like harsh and like noisy and heavy. So I just like I was like, yes, I think it's a good idea, because once you go through all of that, intenseness, you're not gonna go intense the whole way. You're probably gonna like slow it down just for like a few minutes and just like recollect yourself. So I was like, I need some way to cut it. It's kind of like cut the project like a knife, so that one side can be the intense one, and the other side can be like the softer one. So I got my friend to play me a guitar line, and I reversed it. And the interlude is called "I Will Meet You by the River," because the river is like one of the places where you talk to your ancestors back home. So it's like, oh yeah, I'll meet you by the river. So kind of like after all of this chaos, you talk to your ancestors, to gain your clarity, and that's when You Like My Body the Way It Is comes in, because now you're calm and going through all that intense part, and now it's just like the soul part, and kind of feeling vulnerable and sorry for yourself, and that's how you feel it.
That's the thing for me, is that it's like the whole record is about being powerful, and this is just illustrating like the power of vulnerability. So to me, it's like completely in line with the whole thing. Oh. Thank you so much. Do you have anything that you want our listeners to know about you or about the universe? Any message for our coven?
I would say stay vigilant, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the year, and I'm working on an EP called Sigils, and it's probably going to be. I'm working on an EP, and my album is coming out next year as well. So the EP is probably going to be darker, but music is a good medium for that. So.
Absolutely. I know that I am looking so very forward to seeing where this journey takes you and how you experiment further with these themes and just get deeper into them. I'm really excited, and I'm super excited to be on the sort of mid-ground floor of your success.
Thank you.
I don't know how else to put it. I'm really proud of you. You know, your work is fantastic, and it makes me want to break things and hug things and be better and do justice and be a witch. It's great. All you witches out there who are listening, if you are looking for some witch anthems, please. And now hit us with your socials, whatever, links.
Backxwash everywhere, essentially. Backxwash on Backxwash on Instagram, Backxwash on Spotify, on Twitter, and that's BACKXWASH.
Yeah, so Backxwash. That's how we spell Backxwash. Thank you so much, Ashanti. This has been an absolute dream and a pleasure. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, what song would you like to leave our listeners with?
Probably Burn Me at the Stake.
Burn Me at the Stake. Thank you again.
Ever since I started rapping, I put a target on my back. I just thought I should be smarter than I am. For every bullet that they shoot, I'll take it harder as I can. I just thought this shit was harder than I planned. Fuck it. If they want me, they can come get me. Got a tank that's unleaded mixed with a shack that's bloodshedded. And all my life I've been so black with a fist up. Trans and I'm thinking of hitting my man in the mirror. Fuck it. And here I am, burning at your cross. I'm still standing here, bitches. What the energy is gone. Check the letters in my palm, the message in my arm. I'd rather perish before I leave you with the motherfucking chance to tell these niggas, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. Don't care how long it takes. I tell these bitches, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. It's for the real, no fake. I tell these niggas, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. Don't care how long it takes. I tell these bitches, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. It's for the real, no fake. I was born in the street, all the potholes and old roads. Granny always thinks I'm a low soul. She don't know, most of my life shit has been so-so. But picture me dolo, I trap my own soul in a snow globe. The poor roaming, and they're asking like, who is he? The violence that the settlers has provided through you and me. Beautifully tie around the neck, lit fumes can breathe. Unusual screams beam from a place of no nuancy. And in my story, I don't make it to home. Just a remnant of the lessons in the state of adolescence. Middle finger to the elders, I don't pray anymore. You can burn me to a crisp, I won't rest till I'm gone. I tell these niggas, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. Don't care how long it takes. I tell these bitches, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. It's for the real, no fake. I tell these niggas, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. Don't care how long it takes. I tell these bitches, man, to burn me at the stake, to burn me at the stake. It's for the real, no fake. Backxwash, Dickens, man, burn me at the motherfucking stake. 2019, we out. I tell these niggas, man, burn me at the stake. Burn me at the stake, burn me at the stake. I tell you.